Hello and welcome to this final first look exploring session looking at 4 plays in 1. We've been reading the bits by Nathan Field. We are now moving into the bits mostly by John Fletcher as we go into the rest of the Triumph of Death. Cheerful stuff. Let's place your bets now. How many people will survive this playlet? Followed by the final triumph and the closing devices. This has been a really wild ride so far as we've tried to figure out what this play is doing. These portmanteau plays were much more common than surviving text suggests. So this is a really important text to sort of try and understand in the sense of this kind of mixed bill affair that might be available. To find out what happens in the remainder of the play as we go into the rest of Act 4, we have started the third playlet. We've got a setup of this reprobate who's trying to commit bigamy. So to find out how far that bigamy goes, how big is the bigamy? Reading Casta, Poverty, and Plutus is
Mark in the Midwest United States.
Reading Shaloon, Duke, and Anthropos is
Lois in London.
Reading Lavall, Hellena, and Humility is
Smaller. I'm Alan in Suffolk, and it would be bigamy.
Reading Spirit, Lord, Desire, and Epilogue is
Rachel in Canada.
Reading Perolot, Prologue, Mercury, and Honesty is
that's me, I think. If I'm not mistaken, I'm Eric. I'm here. Yeah. I have snacks.
Oh, do share. Pass them round. Reading.
I don't know if you're allergic, so.
That's fine. We can sequester it per box. Reading Maria, Emanuel, and Time is
Kyle in Tucson.
Reading Gabriella, Jupiter, and Fame is
Lynn in the Northwestern United States. I have coffee.
That would be nice. Reading Gentille, A Vain Delight, and Simplicity is
Alexandra, I am here for the very distant snacks.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton, and I'll be reading stage directions and generally keeping things moving along. There is cake somewhere, but it's not within reach, so that is sad. Anyway, people watching this video can have whatever snacks you like. Feel free to enjoy. We will send some. There's a virtual link to the snacks. Let's get on with the play. Act 4, Scene 3. We left with some courtiers telling us what a reprobate Lavall was. Act 4, Scene 3. We have some music. Music happens. Enter Gabriella and Maria above, and Lavall bride states in solemnity as to marriage, and they pass over these Duke Marine Longueville. Not sure what that's saying. Anyway, we focus in on Gabriella and Maria.
I hear him come.
Would I might never hear more.
I told you still, but you were so incredulous. There they kiss.
Adders be your embraces, the poison of a rotten heart. Oh, Helen, blast thee as I have been. Just such a flattery with the same cunning face, that smile upon it. Oh, mark it, Maria. Mark it seriously. That master smile caught me.
There's the old Duke and Marine, her father.
Oh.
There Longueville, the ladies now.
Oh, I am murdered, Marie. Beast, most unconstant beast.
There.
There I am not. No more I am not there. Hear me, O heaven, and all you powers of justice bow down to me. But you of pity die. I am abused. She that depended on your providence, she is abused. Your honor is abused. That noble peace ye made and called it man is turned to devil. All the world's abused. Give me a woman's will, provoked to mischief, a two-edged heart, my suffering thoughts to wildfires, and my embraces to a timeless grave turn.
Here, I'll step in, for 'tis an act of merit.
I am too big to utter more.
Take time then.
And they exit. It's just to get us in the zone. What this playlet is doing, quite interestingly, is short scenes delivering actually still the same unit of expositionary data, but just slightly moved on, just a nudge each time. So we've been introduced to the Lavall and Gabriella. We've been told about what they're like. We've been introduced to the idea that Lavall's going to marry somebody else. We see effectively a dumb show, but a dumb show with people talking over it and giving a running commentary as we see the bigamous marriage going on. I really like the plotting of this. I don't feel quite the same way as the previous two playlets, where it's like, we're going to do exposition really, really quickly and get through some stuff. This feels more measured. This feels like it's delivering a relatively compact plot, but it's actually delivering it in different little piecemeal chunks in a way that I'm quite liking. People are allowed to disagree with me on this point, by the way. If anyone doesn't agree or finds that this isn't working, but I like it. I think this is very clever, and it's not like the dumb show in the previous playlet where it's like, we're just going to show lots of stuff. Whereas this has all been signposted, it's demonstrating, but also you've got another scene happening at the same time as we see Gabriella's reaction to it all, and and also identifying who people are in the dumb show who we might not know who they are yet. So it's like we have those characters who are mentioned at the top, the Duke, etc., and it's sort of just giving us an idea who those people might be by the way the reactions are playing out as well. This is clever. Other thoughts? I know there wasn't a lot of scene there, so there's not necessarily a lot to say, but I just getting our eye in. Mark.
Yeah, I mean, along with the previous two scenes that we did in the previous session, I feel like it is setting up the plot and the emotional stakes, especially for Gabriella, the secret wife. I think it's setting that up quite thoroughly and I agree, without it feeling too much sure, it's a short play, so there were some things in the very first scene that did kind of feel like, and here's the exposition line, but that was kind of few and far between. I feel like it's setting things up pretty efficiently, but also dramatically.
Okay, let's move on then to the next scene, which may be a bit more chunky, I don't know. Act 4, Scene 4, enter Gentille and Casta.
This solitary life at home undoes thee, obscures thy beauty first, which should prefer thee. Next, fills thee full of sad thoughts, which thy years must not arrive at yet. They choke thy sweetness. Follow the time, my girl, and it will bring thee even to the fellowship of the noblest women, Helen herself, to whom I would prefer thee, and under whom this poor and private carriage, which I am only able yet to reach at, being cast off, and all thy sweets at lusto, will take thee as a fair friend, and prefer thee.
Good sir, be not so cruel as to seek to kill that sweet content you have bred me to. Have I not here enough to thank heaven for? The free air uncorrupted with new flattery, the water that I touch unbribed with odors to make me sweet to others, the pure fire not smothered up and choked with lustful incense to make my blood sweat, but burning clear and high, tells me my mind must flame up so to heaven. What should I do at court? Wear rich apparel? Methinks these are as warm. And for your state, sir, wealthy enough, is it you would have me proud and like a pageant stuck up for amazements? Teach not your child to tread that path, for fear, sir, your dry bones after death groan in your grave the miseries that follow.
Excellent, Casta.
When shall I pray again? A courtier, or when I do, to what god? What new body and new face must I make me with new manners? For I must be no more myself. Whose mistress must I be first? With whose sin offering seasoned? And when I am grown so great and glorious with prostitution of my burning beauties, that great lords kneel and princes beg for favors, do you think I'll be your daughter? a poor gentleman's, or know you for my father?
Now,
My
enter
best
Lavall.
Casta. Oh, my most virtuous child, heaven reigns within thee. Take thine own choice, sweet child, and live a saint still. The Lord Lavall, stand by witch.
Gabriella, she cannot, nor she dares not make it known. My greatness crushes her whene'er she offers. Why should I
Come.
fear her then?
Come, let's pass on, wench.
Gentille, come hither. Who's that gentlewoman?
A child of mine, sir, who, observing custom, is going to the monastery to her prayers.
A fair one, most sweet one. Fitter far to beautify a court than make a votarist. Go on, fair beauty, and in your orisons remember me. Will ye, fair sweet?
Most humbly.
And exuent Gentile and Casta.
Admirable beauty, how it fires me.
Enter a spirit.
But she's too full of grace, and I too wicked. I feel my wanted fit. Defend me, goodness. Oh, it grows colder still, and stiffer on me. My hair stands up, my sinews shake and shrink. Help me, good heaven, and good thoughts dwell within me. Oh, get thee gone, thou evil spirit. Hold me no more, I charge thee.
Yes, Lavall, thou art my vassal and the slave to mischief. I bless thee with new sin. Pursue thy pleasure. Casta is a rare and sweet, a blowing beauty. Set thy desires afire and never quench 'em, till thou enjoyest her. Make her all thy heaven and all thy joy, for she is all true happiness. Thou art powerful, use command. If that prevail not, force her. I'll be thy friend.
Oh, help me, help me.
Her virtue, like a spell, sinks me into darkness.
And exit spirit. But there I'm going to pause just for a second, because we should point out this spirit was set up. It's not a random act. It was set up by the courtiers who said, this guy Lavall, he every so often he just seems to stop and stare in the corner where he and talk. There's a sort of demon appearing to him. This is really interesting about what's this doing here. That there is this literally evil spirit. And actually how you portray that, because there's sort of two ways you can go with this. Either it's basically he just wants to do bad things and this is his excuse. This is sort of the sort of personification of the evil that men do, as opposed to something making him do an evil thing. I think the play is pushing us more in the latter direction, but I think there is a possibility here to really play on the internal psychodrama of this, because there's something really interesting about what that is doing at that moment as well. Lynn?
Yeah, agreed. That I think what the play is trying to say is that he's somehow not fully responsible for his actions, and I'm not down with that.
Yeah, but it's an externalizing of what all these plays have been doing. We've been talking about this all through this play. Of it's like men can't help themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah,
here they've given it an expression in dramatic terms.
Yeah. But I think you can visually play with this in a way that tends to push the interpretation in the other direction, that this is not really external, this is part of him. So you have him wearing a fairly distinctive costume, and then the spirit wears the exact same thing, only like in white or light gray or something like that, and the actors look very similar, so that we're signaling visually that this isn't really something coming at him from the cosmos, from the outside. It's something coming from inside him.
Though, of course, we do then potentially fall into the other trap, which is the way we're projecting some sort of mental illness as creating dangerous members of society, which is often in the case with mental illness is in fact the reverse. The number of people who are genuinely dangerous because of this kind of vision is actually very small, and it may risk drifting us into an area of stigma. I think that's something we should be aware of as an issue. But also, it could just be there's an evil monster just sitting on his shoulder, and we go down the literal route. I think there's lots of different dynamic issues with how you present that moment. It's, however, very interesting. Other thoughts on the spirit? I paused mid-scene. We haven't got very far. So yeah, we'll pick up more action because, of course, the moment the spirit exits, we have the re-entrance of Gentille and Casta.
He's here still. How is it, noble lord? Methinks, sir, you look a little wildly. Is it that way? Is't her you stare on so? I have spied your fire, sir, but dare not stay the flaming. Come!
Sweet creature, excellent beauty, do me but the happiness to be your humblest servant. O fair eyes, O blessed sweetness, divine virgin.
Oh, good my lord, retire into your honor. You're spoken good and virtuous, placed at helm to govern others from mischances. From example of such fair chronicles as great ones are, we do, or sure we should, direct our lives. I know you are full of worth, a school of virtue daily instructing us that live below ye. I make no doubts dwells there.
Cannot answer. She has struck me dumb with wonder.
Goodness guide ye.
And exeunt Gentile and Casta.
She's gone, and with her all light, and has left me dark as my black desires. Devil lust, how dost thou hunt my blood and whisper to me, there is no day again, no time, no living, without this lusty beauty break upon me. Let me collect myself. I strive like billows beaten against a rock and fall a fool still. Must enjoy her. I will. From this hour, my thoughts and all my business shall be nothing.
Enter Maria.
My eating and my sleeping, her beauty, not to work it.
Help to my lord Lavall. Nay, good sir, do not turn with such displeasure. I come not to afflict your newborn pleasures. My honored mistress, neither let that vex you, for nothing is intended, but safe to you.
What of your mistress? I'm full of business.
I will be short, my lord. She, loving lady, considering the unequal tie between ye, and how your ruin with the duke lay on it, as also the most noble match now made, by me sends back all links of marriage, all holy vows and rites of ceremony, all promises, oaths, tears, and all such ponds you left in hostage. Only her love she cannot, for that still follows ye, but not to hurt ye, and still beholds ye, sir, but not to shame ye. In recompense of which this is her suit, sir, her poor and last petition, but to grant her, when weary nights have cloyed ye up with kisses, as such must come, the honor of a mistress, the honor but to let her see those eyes she dotes on more than gods do goodness, and but to kiss you only with this prayer, a prayer only to awake your pity, and on her knees she made it, that this night you'd bless her with your company at supper.
I like this well, and now I think on better. I'll make a pleasant use from this occasion.
Nay, good my lord, be not so cruel to her, because she has been yours.
And to mine own end, a rare way I will work.
Can love forever, the love of her, my lord, so perish in ye, as ye desire in your desires to prosper? What gallant under heaven but Anjou's heir then can brag so fair a wife, and sweet a mistress, good noble lord?
Ye misapply me, Maria, nor do I want true pity to your lady. Pity and love tell me too much I have wronged her, to dare to see her more. Yet if her sweetness can entertain a meditation, and it must be a great one that can cure me, my love again, as far as honour bids me, my service and myself.
That's nobly spoken.
Shall hourly see her. Want shall never know her, nor where she has bestowed her love, repent her.
Now whither drives he?
I've heard, Maria, that no two women in the world more loved than thy good mistress and Gentile's fair daughter.
What may this mean? You have heard a truth, my lord. But since the secret love betwixt you two, my mistress dares not entertain such friendship. Casta is quick and of a piercing judgment, and quickly will find out a flaw.
Oh, Marie, shrink not, 'tis good gold, wench. Prepare a banquet, and get that Casta with her, for she's a creature so full of forcible divine persuasion, and so unwearied ever with good office, and she shall cure my ill cause to my mistress, and make all errors up.
I'll do my best, sir, but she's too fearful, coy, and scrupulous to leave her father's house so late, and bashful at any man's appearance, that I fear, sir, 'twill prove impossible.
There's more gold, Marie, but fain thy mistress wondrous sick to death.
I have ye in the wind now, and I'll pay ye.
She cannot choose but come. 'Tis charity, the chief of her profession. Undertake this, and I am there at night. If not, I leave thee.
I will not lose this offer, though it fall out clean cross to that we cast. I'll undertake it. I will, my lord. She shall be there.
Hide!
By she shall.
Let it be something late then. For being seen now force or favour wins her. My spirits are grown dull. Strong wine and store shall set them up again, and make me fit to draw home at the enterprise I aim at.
Exit Lavall.
Go thy way, false lord. If thou holdest, thou payest the price of all thy lusts. Thou shalt be there, thou modest maid, if I have any working, and yet thy honor safe, for which this thief I know has set this meeting, that I'll watch him.
Enter Perolot.
Maria,
Are my eyes my own? Oh, bless me, I am deluded with a flying shadow.
why do you so start from me?
It speaks sensibly and shows a living body, yet I am fearful.
Give me your hand, good Maria,
He feels warm, too.
and next your lips.
He kisses perfectly. Nay, and the devil be no worse, you are Perolot.
I was, and sure I should be. Can a small distance and 10 short months take from your memory the figure of your friend that you stand wondering? Be not amazed, I'm the self-same Perolot, living and well, son to Gentille and brother to virtuous Casta, your beauteous mistress, that long since poor betrothed and still vowed servant.
Nay, sure he lives. My lord Lavall, your master, brought news long since to your much mourning mistress. Ye died at Orleans, bound her with an oath too, to keep it secret from your aged father, lest it should rack his heart.
A pretty secret to try my mistress' love and make my welcome from travel of more worth. From whence, heaven be thanked, my business for the Duke dispatched to the purpose, and all my money spent. And come home, wench. How does my mistress? For I have not yet seen any, nor will I, till I do her service.
But did the Lord Lavall know of your love, sir, before you went? Before he went?
Yes, by much more force he got it, but none else knew, upon his promise to and honor to conceal it faithfully till my return. To further which, he told me, my business being ended from the Duke, he would procure a pension for my service, able to make my mistress a fit husband.
But are you sure of this?
Sure as my sight, wench.
Then is your lord a base dissembling villain, a devil lord, the damned lord of all lewdness, and has betrayed ye and undone my mistress, my poor sweet mistress. Oh, that lecher lord, who poor soul since has married.
To whom, Maria?
To that unlucky lord upon him, whose hot horse appetite being allayed once with her chaste joys, married again, scarce cooled. The torches yet not out, the yellow hymen lighted about the bed. The songs yet sounding. Marine's young noble daughter Hellena, whose mischief stands at door next. Oh, that recreant.
O villain, O most unmanly falsehood, Nay, then I see my letters were betrayed too. Oh, I am full of this, great with his mischiefs. Loaded and burst. Come, lead me to my lady.
I cannot. Sir Lavall keeps her concealed. Besides, her griefs are such, she will see no man.
I must and will go to her. I will see her. There be my friend, or this shall be thy furthest.
Hold, and I will help thee. But first you shall swear to me, as you are true and gentle, as ye hate this beastly and base lord, where I shall place ye, which shall be within sight, till I discharge thee. Whatever you see or hear, to make no motion.
I do, by Jove.
Stay here about the house then, till it be later, yet the time's not perfect. There at the back door I'll attend you truly.
O monstrous, monstrous, beastly villain.
Exit Perolot.
How crossless walls, and from all expectation. And what the end shall be, heaven only knows yet. Only I wish and hope, but I forget still, Casta must be the bait, or all miscarries.
Exit Maria. End of scene. Okay, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. I'm sort of enjoying these complications. Though when Perolot turns up and it's like, the reaction was so sort of going, hang on, did I miss something from earlier? I know this was vaguely set up, but I don't recall it being, this it's like random, hello, I'm a plot device. And it's like, but yeah, he's come back, and yeah, we're seeing the levels of Lavall's evilness. I mean, that spirit must be whispering in his ear rather a lot to make Lavall such a, it's like every scene he's worse and worse and worse. And so yeah, there's an interesting way. This scene, especially the whole of this sequence with Maria talking to various people, is really complicated by who's got asides and when, because sometimes they're all doing asides at a certain point, I think, and the script really isn't giving us that indication, or at least the version we've been looking at. I suspect it's not marked in the original, so there's a little bit of job of work here, actually, I think, to workshop this and really play with, because I think some of them are ambiguous as to precisely whether, some of them are more obvious and straightforward, but some of them, yeah, it really could dance between who knows what the other one is saying at times, because sometimes it seems like they could be talking, but also they're not. So I'm really interested in that. Lots more lost oaths along the way, which are always fun to try and decide what expletive we wish to put in place. Lois.
Yeah, I mean, I think when Perolot says to Maria, that he must see Gabriella, and then says, "There be my friend, or this shall be thy furthest." All I can think of is that he produces a dagger and threatens her, and she says, "Hold, and I'll help thee." But I mean, he seemed to be a nice guy up to this point, so it seemed a bit odd that he would be doing that. But anyway, that I unless you can think of something else he could be doing at that stage.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like there's sort of desperate business going on here at times. So, desperate times, it's like he's come back and finds that everybody's betrayed him. So yeah, it's doing all sorts of things there. But yeah, it's like the plot is getting slowly more tangled, and I quite like that. It's not like this wasn't exactly set up at the top of the play. There were some little hints of where this will be coming in, but it's like this comes as just enough of a surprise of ooh, which I like in a play. Lynn.
My interpretation of that line about of Perolot's is like, here's some money, and this shall be thy furthest. It means I'm not tipping you again if this doesn't work out, because that's how servants live, is by little coins here and there. So that's my guess. Anyway, I hope Maria has it all in control. The clever servant, male or female, is a character type from the female servant more from Commedia, but the male the male equivalent is very old. So I kind of hope she has this whole thing in hand.
Yeah, it does feel like the wheels are turning, and that there's a little bit of improvisation on her part, but that also some certain amount of thinking has been going on since the previous scene of, right, how do I sort this situation out, and what do I do for my mistress and stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping Lavall dies horribly and slowly. But here's the question: who do you think's going to survive? It's not a question of who's going to die. It's a question of how many bodies are not on the floor at the end. Place your bets now. Who do you think will survive? Okay. Answers in the chat for the moment. Act 4, Scene 5. Enter Gentille with a torch. Shaloon above.
What a great line. Hola, Shaloon.
Who's there?
A word from the Duke, sir.
Your pleasure.
Tell your lord he must to court straight.
He's ill at ease, and prays he may be pardoned the occasions of this night.
Belike he's drunk, then. He must away. The Duke and his fair lady, the beauteous Hellena, are now at Scent, of whom she has such fortune in her carding, the Duke has lost 1,000 crowns, and swears he will not go to bed till by Lavall the tide of loss be turned again. Awake him, for 'tis the pleasure of the Duke he must rise.
Having so strict commands, sir, to the contrary, I dare not do it. I beseech your pardon.
Are you sure he is there?
Yes.
And asleep?
I think so.
And are you sure you will not tell him, Shaloon?
Yes, very sure.
Then I am sure I will. Open, or I must force.
Pray, Sir Day, he is not, nor will not be this night. You may excuse it.
I knew he was gone about some woman's labour. As good a neighbour, though I say it, and as comfortable. Many such more we need, Shaloon. Alas, poor lady, thou art like to lie cross-legged tonight. Good monsieur, I will excuse your master for this once, sir, because sometimes I have loved a wench myself, too.
'Tis a good hearing, sir.
But for your lie, Shaloon, if I had you here, it should be no good hearing. For your pate I would pummel.
A fair good night, sir.
Good night, thou noble knight, Sir Pandarus. My heart is cold at the sudden, and that strange dullness possesses all my body. Thy will be done, heaven.
And they exit. Okay, what's going on here? What unit of business is this doing within the play? Alan.
You've got a faithful servant who's following orders for once. Basically, the boss has told him, I don't want to be disturbed, no matter whom.
Yeah, so in a sense, what this scene is doing, it's presumably setting up the sort of where we are for the next scene. That's my feeling. I'm just sort of trying to figure out dramaturgically what this scene is doing, because it's not really telling us any particularly new information. It's introducing Shaloon, who just has a great name. So hopefully Shaloon is going to do something interesting, just simply so I can keep saying Shaloon. And setting up that scene, so it's with, if nothing else, a prop. So we've got with a torch. So we're setting up the time of day, we're setting up the location, we're setting up where characters are situated, so we know where people are, and that's presumably important for the next scene and the following action. Lynn.
And Gentile is more tuned into the reality of the situation than I had thought. That he's like, oh, you should go to court. You're so beautiful. You'd be charming. You know, you'd be very popular. And she's like, Dad, I don't want to do that. She's like, okay, whatever. But I didn't get the feeling that he was really tuned into how corrupt the court is. And this scene reveals that he is. It's like, oh yeah, I know what your master's up to. And he doesn't know that it's his daughter that Lavall is after, but he knows what kind of guy he is.
Yeah, and we've got this sense of that everybody in the court knows what's going on. It's like there are no secrets here. There are no secrets. Everything is if they're leaking like a sieve, it's like a government department. Alan, then Alexandra, then we'll move on.
Yeah, we've also had the introduction of the concept Duke has got a gambling problem.
I think we. Oh yeah, the Duke in that sense. Yeah, as in the old Duke or the new Duke.
Whichever, the one who sent Lavall.
Because we know Lavall has lots of vices. Alexandra.
I just to follow up on the earlier point, I think Gentile does actually know Lavall has eyes on his daughter because has set his eye on his daughter because I don't know if I conveyed it very well, but it is in his dialogue where he comes back after the apparition, after the spirit. He comes back with his daughter and goes, "You look a bit not well, and you're staring that way towards her. We're leaving." So yes, I think he's he's got his number. And I think I agree with you, Rob, that it's setting up who is where, and the fact that the Duke and his lady. I thought Hellena was the new betrothed of Lavall.
Yes, or in fact married. Didn't we see the marriage earlier in Dumb Show?
Right, but she's currently beating the Duke at cards. So he's left his new wife, and he isn't at home, or he is at home, but. He's either there with a lady or he's not actually where Shaloon, behind the door Shaloon is guarding, and Gentile has figured it out. So I think there's more happening in this setup than is actually being spoken out.
Okay, well let's very briefly, Mark.
Yeah, I was just trying to parse the whole gambling thing. So beauteous Hellena, his fair lady, that's the Duke's, like Papa Duke's wife, lady, and he was gambling against her, and she won by a huge margin, and now he's like, Lavall is his son, right? The Duke's son?
Yes.
So he's like, wake up, my son, I need to gamble against him until I make money back.
I think I think he's playing cards with his daughter-in-law. That must be what's going on.
Unless they're referring to the future Duke by the term Duke, and it's just getting very confusing. Because the Duke is...
I think Gentile's lying anyway. He's just trying to pump Shaloon for information.
Yeah, so he's talking about... Gentile is talking about the Lavall. But like he is drunk then, he must away the Duke and his fair lady. So his fair lady is Lavall's fair lady in that context. He's not the Duke's fair lady. The way that sentence is constructed is a little unclear, but I think it's not that the Duke is married to Hellena. The future Duke, Lavall, is married to Hellena.
But then the current Duke has lost 1,000 crowns in the gambling against her.
Yes, the current Duke is gambling with her, yes, that is true, right. But he is not married to her, as is indeed his son's wife. It
also makes more sense that he's like, okay, now I'm going to gamble against Lavall to win that money back, because it's the same household.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it is. I thought he was expecting Lavall to do the gambling, because presumably Lavall, among his many other talents, is a card sharp or something. And, but then what's the point? He was winning it back from his own wife. So, yeah, that makes more sense.
Anyway, let's gather some more data. It's a setting up scene. So let's get into the scene that it's setting up. Act 4, Scene 6. Enter Gabriella and Casta and Maria with a taper.
Faith, friend, I was even going to my bed when your maid told me of your sudden sickness. But from my grave, so truly I love you, I think your name would raise me. You look ill since last I saw you, much decayed in color. Yet I thank heaven I find no such great danger as your maid frighted me withal. Take courage, and give your sickness course. Some grief you have got that feeds within upon your tender spirits, and wanting open way to vent itself, murders your mind, and chokes up all your sweetness.
I'm Gabriella. It was my maid's fault, worthy friend, to trouble ye so late upon so light a cause. Yet since I have ye, oh my dear Casta.
Out with it, God's name.
The closet of my heart I will lock here, wench.
Lavall knocks within.
And things shall make you tremble. Who's that knocks there?
'Tis the law.
Sit you still, let him in. I am resolved, and all you wronged women, you noble spirits, that as I have suffered under this glorious beast-insulting man, Lend me your causes, then your cruelties, for I must put on madness above women.
Why do you look so ghastly?
Peace, no harm, dear.
Enter Lavall.
There, take my cloak and sword. Where is this banquet?
In the next room.
How came he here? Heaven bless me.
Give me some wine, wench. Fill it full and sprightly,
Sit still, be not fearful.
till my veins swell and my strong sinews stretch like that brave centaur that at the table snatched the bride away in spite of Hercules.
I am betrayed.
Nay, start not, lady. 'Tis for you that I come, and for your beauty. 'Tis for you Lavall honours this night. To you, the sacred shrine, I humbly bow, offering my vows and prayers. To you I live.
In with the powder quickly. So, that and the wine will rock ye.
Here's to the health of the most beauteous and divine fair Casta, the star of sweetness.
Fear him not, I'll die first. And who shall pledge ye?
Thou shalt, thou tanned gypsy, and worship to that brightness give, cold Tartar. By ye shall not stir. Ye are my mistress, the glory of my love, the great adventure, the mistress of my heart, and she my all.
Thou liest, beastly lord, drunker than anger. Thou souse lord, got by a surfeit, thou liest basely. Nay, stir not, I dare tell thee so. Sit you still. If I be whore, it is in marrying thee that art so absolute and full of villain. No sacrament can save that peace tied to thee. How often thou hast wooed in those flatteries, almost those very words, my constancy. What goodness have I not been, or what goodness, what star that is of any name in heaven or brightness? Which of all the virtues but drunkenness and drabbing, thy two morals, have I not reached to? What spring was ever sweeter? What Scythian snow so white? What crystal chaster? Is not thy new wife now the same, too? Hang thee, base bigamist, thou honor of ill women!
How's this? Oh, heaven defend me.
Thou salt itch, for whom no cure but ever burning brimstone can be imagined. Dost thou laugh, thou breaker of all law, all religion, of all faith, thou soul contemner?
Peace, thou paltry woman. Sit by me, sweet.
By the devil,
Come and lull me with delights.
it works amain now.
Give me such kisses as the Queen of Shadows gave to the sleeping boy she stole on Latmus. Round about in snaky wreaths close folded, those rosy arms about my neck. Oh, Venus,
Fear not, I say.
thou admirable sweetness, distill thy blessings like those silver drops that falling on fair grounds rise in all in roses. Shoot me 1,000 darts from those fair eyes, and though my heart transfix them all, I'll stand them. Send me 1,000 smiles, and presently I'll catch them in thine eyes, and by love's power turn them to Cupid's all, and fling them on thee. She looks heavenly. More wine for me.
Give him more wine. And good friend, be not fearful.
Here, on my knee, thou goddess of delights, this lusty crepe I offer to thy beauties. See how it leaps to view, that perfect redness that dwells upon thy lips. Now how it blushes to be outblushed. Oh, let me feed my fancy, and as I hold the purple god in one hand, dancing about the brim and proudly swelling, decked in the pride of nature young and glowing, so let me take fair Semele in the other, and sing the loves of gods, and then drink their nectar's not yet desired.
Oh,
Then, like the lusty Tarquin, turned into flames with Lucretia's coy denials, his blood, spirit equally ambitious, I force thee for mine own.
help me, justice. Help me, my chastity.
How I am bravely quarried.
Enter Perolot above.
'Tis my sister.
No body slave, no creature. She is not carried.
She's loose again and gone. I'll keep my place still.
Now it works bravely. Stand, he cannot hurt ye.
Oh, my sweet love, my life.
He falls down and sleeps.
He sings.
My blessing.
So now he is safe a while.
Lock all the doors, wench, then for my wrongs.
All appear to know all.
Be quick, quick, good Maria, sure and sudden.
Stay, I must in first.
Oh, my conscience, it is young Perolot. Oh, my stung conscience, it is my first and noblest love.
Leave wandering and recollect yourself. The man is living, equally wronged as you, and by that devil.
'Tis most true, lady. Your unhappy fortune I grieve for is mine own. Your fault forgive too, if it be one. This is no time for kisses. I have heard all and known all, which my ears are cracked to pieces with, and my heart perished. I saw him in your chamber, saw his fury, and am afire till I have found his heart out. What do you mean to do? For I'll make one.
To make his death more horrid, for he shall die.
He must, he must.
We'll watch him till he wakes, then bind him, then torture him.
'Tis nothing. No, take him dead drunk now without repentance. His lechery enseamed upon him.
Excellent.
I'll do it myself, and when 'tis done, provide ye for wheel away for Italy this night.
We'll follow through all hazards.
O false lord, unmanly, mischievous, how could I curse thee but blasts thy fame? Have I thy heart, fool? Loopholes I'll make enough to let thy life out.
Oh, does the devil ride me?
Nay then.
Murder. Nay, then take my share too.
Help! Oh, he has slain me. Bloody intentions must have blood.
Huh?
Heaven.
He sinks, forever sinks. Oh, fortune, oh, sorrow! How the seas thou flow, how like seas thou flowest upon me. Here I will dwell forever. Weep, Maria, weep this young man's misfortune. Oh, thou truest!
Enter Spirit.
What have I done?
That has marked thy soul, man.
And art thou come again, thou dismal spirit?
Yes, to devour thy last.
Mercy upon thee.
Thy hour has come. Succession, honor, pleasure, all the luster thou so long hast looked for must here have end. Summon thy sins before thee.
Oh, my affrighted soul.
There lies a black one, thine own best servant, but by thy own hand slain. Thy drunkenness procured it. There's another. Think of fair Gabriella, there she weeps, and such tears are not lost.
Oh, miserable.
Thy foul intention to the virtuous Casta.
No more thou wildfire.
Thy last wife, think on the wrong she suffers.
Oh, my misery. Oh, whither shall I fly?
Thou hast no faith, fool. Hark thy knell.
And the Spirit sings, we do not know what, and exits.
Millions of sins muster about mine eyes now. Murders, ambitions, lust, false faiths. Oh, horror, in what a stormy form of death thou ridest now. Methinks I see all tortures, fires and frosts, deep sinking caves where nothing but despair dwells. Baleful birds of night hovering about 'em. Grave, methinks, now opens, and a hearse hung with mine arms tumbles into it. Oh, my afflicted soul, I cannot pray, and the least child that has but goodness in him may strike my head off, so stupid are my powers. I'll lift mine eyes up, though.
Cease these laments. They are too poor for vengeance. Lavall lives yet.
Then thus I dry all sorrows from my eyes. Fury and rage possesses them now. Damned devil.
Huh?
This is for young Perolot.
And we infer stabbing.
Oh, mercy, mercy!
This is for my wrongs.
Stabs him again.
Oh, one short hour to cure me.
There's a knock from within.
Oh, be not cruel. Oh, oh.
Hark, they knock. Make haste for heaven's sake. Mistress.
And this is for Casta.
And stabbing again, probably.
Oh, oh, oh.
Lavall finally dies.
He's dead. Come quickly. Let's away with him. 'Twill be too late else.
Help up to the chamber.
And they exit with Lavall's body. Okay, end of scene. It's quite confusing. Okay, we were saying earlier, Nathan Field gives us an abundance of stage directions. Fletcher does not. The fact that we do not have any of the stage cues for the stabby action in this. We had noticed the stabby action of Lavall, because there is a note in the script of him dying. Perolot, we kind of missed that he's just been stabbed by Lavall in the action. It's sort of there, but it's only after about 2 minutes afterwards you go, oh, he's sort of woken up, sort of, and just stabbed him, and in the middle of the scene, and we kind of missed it. And it's just like, whoa, it's there, but there are no stage directions to tell us that it's there. And yeah, it's just he's sort of going in, and Lavall sort of suddenly wakes up, murder, take that my share too, and he's at that point he must stab Perolot. And then the spirit turns up and goes, well, you're screwed now.
You're going to hell.
I'm going to sing a song, which we don't have, which is very annoying. And it's like, wow, it's like Lavall at some point did a Faustian pact. And it's like we've missed this whole backstory, that it's not that he's just tormented by a demon. The demon is there to do his business, and every so often goes, you've been thinking of committing carnal sins. Would you like some help with that? It's not that the spirit is possessing him. The spirit is there just going, we have options of horrible things you can do. So yeah, he's basically Clippy. A demonic Clippy. That's what he is.
I love it. Yeah.
Lots of people. I'll go to Alan, then Kyle, then Alexandra, then Lynn.
Yeah, and what stage directions we do get are in some cases positively misleading, because you've got Lavall described as falling asleep, and 2 lines later he's speaking. Well,
again, I think that's just straightforwardly, there are a couple of stage directions like that where they're describing something that's going to, bits of which happen slightly later on. So I think it's a case of he does fall at that moment and then he falls asleep after the next line, but I think it's a fitful sleep. I don't think he's faking. He could be faking, but I don't think he is. So I think that's just the problem with some stage directions are future-proofing. We had that with the dumb show element during the scene where they told us the procession, but that procession doesn't actually happen until midway through that scene. Kyle, and then Alexandra, then Lynn, then Lois, then Mark. Kyle.
I was so confused by the spirit, because it seemed like when we first met the spirit, it wanted to partake in his lust, like it was vicariously enjoying his lust. And then now it seems like it's bringing him to his conscience, or, being his conscience and kind of bringing him to repentance. So I was, really confused by that. I don't know what to make.
I think it's when you're into your end game and you're about to die, the demons turn up and go, ha ha. I think that's what the demon's doing at that point. I think that's fair. Alexandra, then Lynn, then I think.
So I think there's something really interesting. You're right. It's a difference between our writers in that Fletcher is giving us directions inside the lines. So the what I got out of the interaction between Lavall and Perolot is he falls, as in he drops to the floor, and he's been poisoned, so he's potentially unconscious. But then Perolot straddles him, which is why we get and says, I'm gonna poke loopholes in you, which is a delightful line. Because Lavall asks, does the devil mount me or something? And so the impression I get is he's a about to start poking holes in him, and he never manages to because Lavall has opened his eyes, seen who's above him, and struck. And that's why then Gabriella has to do the striking herself, which leads me to the other point I wanted to make, which is it's very interesting how what we have here is a scene where three women, of whom two have been or would be the victims of this man, are not necessarily in conjunction, but are welcoming this person in with a great big master plan to punish him for being a horrible human. And it's, it's uncommon to even just see three women on stage at the same time. But especially for them to work together. And what I really loved is Perolot, after the discovery of, hey, hang on a second, I'm related to you, and also was going to marry you. And anyway, plot. He says, what do you want to do? I'll make one.
Yeah.
And then he does what Gabriella's plan is. So he doesn't sort of turn up and take over, which I thought was really interesting. And then, of course, he fails at the thing that he's been told to do, which gives us this wonderful moment, dramatically speaking, where Gabriella, who is the person that has been harmed by Lavall, of all the people in the room, has been directly wounded by him, is the one wounding him for all the bad things he's done. Very dramatic.
Yes, and I do like the bit, shall I torture him for a very long time? And it's basically sitting there, yes, please. It's sort of disappointingly brief, but never mind. Lynn, then Mark, then we must move on.
Yeah, Alexandra has some good points that actually Perolot's not even plot-wise necessary. He just kind of ratchets up the pathos that he attempts to avenge his fiance's wrongs and fails, and she's going, all right, I gotta do it myself. And Maria's really great because she engineered this whole thing. And she's like, stop crying and kill him, okay? And she's like, Gabriel's like, you're right. So, I think this scene would be really fun to workshop because there's a lot that's left out, not just stage directions, like how the murders take place, but like a lot of asides and like who is addressing whom. That there are times when Gabriella is clearly talking to Casta, it's like it's going to be okay, and she's clearly talking to Maria, get the poison or the opium in the poison the wine now, and sometimes she's just talking to herself. So just sort of workshopping this with all the actors on their feet.
This whole play needs figuring out where those asides live. Beyond then the physical business, just who is talking to whom and when. This script at the moment isn't giving it to us, and I don't know if the other iterations do, but this particular one does not give us that at all. Mark.
Yeah, I'll say the one way in which he's definitely essential to the plot is that it's Lavall killing him. That's the thing that makes the spirit go like, well done, you've damned yourself. And I just wanted to say from Rob early on, you were like in this conversation, you were talking about like, that maybe he's made some like, Faustian bargain or something. And I don't see any reason that needs to be the case. To me, it still feels like the demon's just been like nudging him to do terrible things. And then this is the point where it's like, murder. Now you're fully damned. Ha ha ha.
Yes. You've crossed that threshold now. There is no going back. And oh dear, you don't even have time for confession or anything because you go, look, they've just stabbed you. Oh, lots of times. Blood everywhere. Very briefly, Lois.
Well, the first part of that scene is really weird. I mean, it's as if Mariah and Gabriella are letting Lavall. I don't know quite how close he's getting to Casta, but she's absolutely terrified. And they keep saying it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine, because they give him some drugged wine. I guess they're just waiting for him to pass out. But they're sort of setting her up as the bait. And then, and Perolot is her brother and arrives and says, oh my God, my sister. But it all happens so incredibly fast. I mean, I keep thinking it's got to be cut down from something else. I mean, you couldn't really.
I don't know. I suspect actually once you get it on its feet, it will make a lot of sense in a way that reading text doesn't, because it's a very physical scene. And I suspect the problem is we are missing a lot of stage business, and that unlike Field, who's giving us all the beats, it's inferred beats here rather than anything else. I mean, yeah. The beginning of the scene is as it's being said in the chat. It's an awful scene. It's a very well structured awful scene in that sense. It's a horrible, nasty things are happening, but there is the expectation in the audience that it's going to be all right because he's going to die horribly. We all know he's going to die horribly, and that's comforting to us. But it is this thing that happens in the Jacobean, increasingly in the Jacobean, of just all of this violence, domestic sexual violence, is just this constant running theme that we keep running into play after play after play. It does seem to be this constant in the background social thrum that's going on here. That is doing interesting work. More on that later. We must move on and finish this playlet before we go into the final one. Act 4, Scene 7. Enter Duke Hellena, Gentille, Casta, and attendants with lights.
What frights are these?
I'm sure he hears one past frighting. Bring the lights nearer. I have enough already. Out, mine eyes. Look, Casta.
Oh, there's a lord. 'Tis young Perolot.
When came he over?
Oh, it was you, was it? Sorry. Go for it.
Just rolled past. 'Tis young Perolot.
When came he over? Hold the gentlewoman, she sinks, and bear her off.
Oh, my dear brother.
Exit Casta.
There is a time for all. For me, I hope, too, and very shortly. Murdered.
Enter Gabriella, Mariah, with Lavall's body above.
Who's above there?
Look up and see.
What may this mean?
Behold it. Behold the drunken murderer of that young gentleman. Behold the rankest, the vilest, basest slave that ever flourished.
Who killed him?
I, and there's the cause I did it. Read, if your eyes will give you leave.
Monstrous!
Nay, out it shall. There, take this false heart to ye, the base dishonor of 1,000 women. Keep it in gold, Duke. 'Tis a precious jewel. Now to myself, for I have lived a fair age, longer that by some months than I had a mind to.
Old!
Here, young Perolot, my first contracted true love shall never go alone.
Old, Gabriella, I do forgive all.
I shall die the better. Thus let me seek my grave and my shames with me.
Nor shalt thou go alone, my noble mistress. Why should I live and thou dead?
Save the wench there.
She is, I hope, and all my sins here written.
Oh, this was a fatal night.
Gentile.
Alexandra
gee.
said script has disappeared.
Someone read for her. Okay, heaven has his working, which we cannot contend against.
Alas!
Your grace has your alas too.
Oh, would 'twere equal, for thou hast lost an honest, noble child.
'Tis ere enough, has lost a good remembrance.
See all their bodies buried decently, though some deserved it not. How do you, lady?
Even with your grace's leave, ripe for a monastery. There will I wed my life to tears and prayers, and never know what man is more.
Your pleasure. How does the maid within?
She has gone before, sir, the same course that my lady takes.
My course shall be with my beads at home, so please your grace to give me leave to leave the court.
In peace, sir, and take my love along.
I shall pray for ye.
Now to ourselves retire we, and begin by this example to correct each sin.
And they exit, and we go into Act 4, Scene 8, back to the court. The surrounding story flourish, and we have Emanuel speaking.
By this we plainly view the two imposthumes that choke a kingdom's welfare, ease and wantonness, in both of which Lavall was capital. For first, Ease stole away his mind from honor, that active, noble thoughts had kept still working, and then delivered him to drink and women, lust and outrageous riot. And what their ends are, how infamous and foul, we see example. Therefore, that great man that will keep his name and gain his merit out of virtuous schools must make the pleasures of the world his fools.
Flourish, and we have the triumph of death. Enter musicians. Next, after them, Perolot with the wound he died with. With Gabriella and Maria with their wounds. After them, four furies with bannerets inscribed revenge, murder, lust, and drunkenness, singing. There's another song. Next, them Lavall, wounded, presumably with a whacking great hole in his chest. Then a chariot with death, drawn by the destinies, flourish, and we'll pause before we go on to the prologue for the next triumph of time. So once again, we don't actually have stage directions telling us when people die, but we can infer that both Gabriella and Maria
Buy it. Yeah.
do not make it. But also, more importantly, that they cut out the heart of Lavall and play catch with it. Here you go. Chucking it down from the balcony. It's just going, ah! So I don't want to catch it. No, you catch it. So it's... yeah, so that's the thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm satisfied. Casta survives. She was going to be a nun anyway. The wife doesn't really have much to do, Hellena, but she survives. The father, Gabrielle, Gentille, survives. So, the body count could have been higher. There was not a lot of gratuitous dying. The bad guy dies. Yeah. I mean, what I was going to say is that, okay, I realized that in the early modern period, leaving out stage directions, or like it didn't occur to them to put in stage directions, that's a thing. But like not even saying how or exactly when Gabriella and Maria kill themselves. You could have done that, Fletcher. Come on.
Yeah, I know. We infer that they die at that point, but approximately and precisely how, and yeah, it's very lacking, isn't it? Of all those things, and then of course Emanuel sums up the moral at the end, which is, if your life is too easy and relaxed, you're going to give in to temptation and sin and death and destruction. Which I suppose is a good thing to tell a king and queen, because they have the opportunity to sit back and enjoy their luxuries, and their luxuries may lead them to terrible things. So that's what wealth does to you people. Leads to people having their hearts cut out and being tormented by demons. That's something that we're all worried about at home. Lois and Eric.
Yeah. I mean, that's no doubt a very good moral for rulers, but it doesn't have much to do with the play, because surely the problem wasn't that Lavall had too much leisure. I mean, plenty of people have leisure and don't decide to spend it the way he did. And moreover, there's nothing said about this spirit that's haunting him, which seems to be an important part of the play. And the other thing is that Casta doesn't escape, surely. She dies in the next room, doesn't she? I mean, the Lord says, she has gone before, sir, the same course that my lady takes, which
that's Hellena. That's Hellena says she's going to go to a monastery. And
Helen does, but this surely is
so that's my lady. It's the same course as Helen is going to take. She's going to a monastery.
You think? Oh, that's what that means.
That's what I think.
I thought it could be a reference to the other lady who died, but yeah, it's possible. I suppose it seems awfully early. She sort of rushes straight out to a monastery. Okay, yeah. Anyway, it just seems like a.
Well, I think the ease. I think the moral does connect to the play in the same way as, say, All for Money is about. How if you start off with money will lead to enjoying yourself too much, and that will lead to drunkenness, and that will lead to all sorts of terrible sins. I think it does connect. it's just not very convincing, and we are told that Lavall is all about these vices and giving into vices at the beginning because of, he's the young son, he is the son of a duke, he has all the money, he has all but he has none of the responsibilities. So, and that's the problem, that, if he just got a job, he would have been fine, says the moral of the play. We don't have to buy any of that for a second, of course, but there are elements of that which may or may not land. Eric?
I was just going to say, I liked how they're recycling the sort of props. They've got the chariot coming on again with, I assume, drawn by 3 people as opposed to 2. I don't know, it's just handy to recycle your props when you've got them.
Drawn by the destinies, so I suppose it depends which particular point in time you want to pick from Destiny's Child, really. The lineup does expand and contract. Yes, we've got this continuing triumph, this sort of reiteration that's sort of buying its presentment from pageantry. That at the end of each play we get a little allegorical pageant that's drawn on. So it's the same chariot each time. They've just got different people on it with different banners. Revenge, murder, lust, and drunkenness. It doesn't feel like they're 4 perfectly balanced things for the Furies to be carrying. I feel that's not quite right. Any other thoughts before we move into the Triumph of Time? Okay, shorter one this time. Prologue. We have a prologue to the triumph. Prologue away, please.
From this sad sight ascend your noble eye, and see old Time helping triumphantly, helping his master man. You hear his vanities and see his false friends like those glutted flies, that when they've sucked their fill full often fade from all remembrance of him like a shade. And last of you who believes him in that gone, we hope your favor, and our play is done.
And there's another flourish. And we go into Act 5, Scene 1, the Triumph of Time. Enter Anthropos, Desire, and Vain Delight, and also potentially Bounty.
What hast thou done, Desire? And how employed the charge I gave thee about levying wealth for our supplies?
I have done all, yet nothing, tried all, and in all my ways, yet all miscarried. There dwells a sordid dullness in the minds of thou son of earth, colder than that thou art made of. I come to craft, found all his hooks about him, and all his nets baited and set. His sly self and greedy lucre at serious conference, which way to tie the world within their statutes. Business of all sides and of all sorts swarming like bees broke loose in summer. I declared your will and want together, both enforcing with all the power and pains I had to reach him, yet fell short.
His answer?
This he gave me. Your wants are never ending, and those supplies that come to stop those breaches are ever lavished before they reach the main in toys and trifles, gewgaws and gilded puppets. Vain delight, he says, has ruined ye with clapping all that comes in for support on clothes and coaches, perfumes and powdered pates, and that your mistress, the lady Pleasure, like sea devours at length both you and him too. If you have houses or land or jewels for good pawn, he'll hear you, and will be ready to supply occasions. If not, he locks his ears up and grows stupid. From him I went to Vanity, whom I found attended by an endless troop of tailors, mercers, embroiderers, feather makers, fumers, all occasions opening like a mart that served to rig the body out with bravery. And though the room new fashions flew like flies in 1,000 gaudy shapes, Pride waiting on her, and busily surveying all the breaches time and delaying nature had wrought in her, which still with art she pieced again and strengthened. I told your wants. She showed me gowns and head tires, embroidered waistcoats, smocks seamed through with cutworks, scarfs, mantles, petticoats, muffs, powders, paintings, dogs, monkeys, parrots, which all seemed to show me the way her money went. From her to Pleasure I took my journey.
Ah, and what says our best mistress?
She danced me out this answer presently. Revels and masks had drawn her dry already. I met Time too, mowing mankind down. Who says you are too hot, and he must purge ye?
A cold quietus. Miserable creatures, born to support and beautify your master, the godlike man, set here to do me service, the children of my will. Why, or how dare ye, created to my use alone, disgrace me? Beasts have more courtesy. They live about me, offering their warm wool to the shearer's hand, to clothe me with their bodies to my labors. Nay, even their lives they daily sacrifice, and proudly press with garlands to the altars, to fill the gods' oblations. Birds bow to me, striking their downy sails to do me service, their sweet airs ever echoing to mine honor. And to my rest, their plummy softs they send me. Fishes and plants and all where life inhabits, but mine own cursed kind obey their ruler. Mine have forgot me, miserable mine, into whose stony hearts neglect of duty, squint-eyed deceit, and self-love are crept closely. None feel my wants, not one mend with me.
None, sir?
Oh, thou hast forgot, Desire, thy best friend, Flattery. He cannot fail me.
Fail? He will sell himself and all within his power close to his skin first.
I thought so too, and made him my first venture, but found him in a... Oh, sorry, that's somebody else.
I think it's me.
Oh, yeah.
I thought so too, and made him my first venture, but found him in a young lord's ear so busy, so like a smiling shower pouring his soul in at portals, his face in 1,000 figures catching the vain mind of men. I pulled him, but still he hung like birdlime. Spoken to him, his answer still was, by the Lord, sweet Lord, and by my soul, thou masterpiece of honor. Nothing could stave him off. He has heard your flood's gone, and on decaying things he seldom smiles, sir.
Then here I break up state and free my followers, putting my fortune now to time and justice. Seek new masters now, for Anthropos, neglected by his friends, must seek new fortunes. Desire, to avarice I here commend thee, where thou mayst live at full bent of thy wishes. And vain delight, thou feeder of my follies, with light fantasticness be thou in favor. To leave thee, bounty, my most worthy servant, troubles me more than mine own misery. But we must part. Go plant thyself, my best friend, in honorable hearts that truly know thee, and there live ever like thyself, a virtue. But leave this place and seek the country, for law and lust like fire lick all up here. Now, none but poverty must follow me. Despised patched poverty, and we two married will seek simplicity, content, and peace out.
Enter poverty.
And live with them in exile. How uncalled on my true friend comes.
Here hold thee, Anthropos. Thou art almost armed at rest. Put this on, a penitential robe to purge thy pleasures. Off with that vanity.
Here, vain delight, and with this all my part. To thee again, of thee I freely render.
Take this staff now, and be more constant to your steps hereafter. The staff is staidness of affections. Away, you painted flies that with man's summit take life and heat buzzing about as blossoms. When growing full, you turn to caterpillars, gnawing the root that gave you life. Fly, shadows.
Exuent desire and vain delight.
Now to content I'll give thee, Anthropos, to rest and beauty. No vanity dwells there, desire nor pleasure to delude thy mind more. No flattery's smooth-filed tongue shall poison thee.
Jupiter, if I have ever offered upon thy burning altars but one sacrifice thou and thy fair-eyed Juno smiled upon, if ever to thine honor bounteous feasts, where all thy statues sweet with wine and incense have by the Son of Earth been celebrated. Hear me, the child of shame now. Hear, thou helper, and take my wrongs into thy hands, thou justice done by unmindful man, unmerciful, against his master done, against thy order. And raise again, thou Father of all honor, the poor, despised, but yet thy noblest creature. Raise from his ruins once more this sunk cedar, that all may fear thy power, and I proclaim it.
And they exit end scene. So we are feeding on a whole series of things here, going all the way back to morality dramas, going back to the Middle Ages, this allegorical framework that we've got here. We've got a central everyman type figure wrestling with a series of not desperately great desires that he wants to do, and banishing them, and calling on the gods now to involve themselves in the narrative. And so in the sense this is incredibly old-fashioned. In a sense it's not, it's absolutely up to date, because morality plays don't die out, they just drift into other genres. So this is alive and well in mask culture. We haven't done enough masks to appreciate actually how current this still is, and it's also the kind of thing that still exists in civic pageantry, which a lot of this play is also dealing with in terms of presentational devices. But in civic pageantry, once again, you also have allegorical figures turning up and telling the Lord Mayor or the King or whatever that they should follow moral precepts and do moral things. So in a sense, this is both simultaneously incredibly old-fashioned and absolutely up to date, and quite weird to put on a theatre stage because you would expect this material somewhere else. But there are other interesting crossovers with this kind of stuff that does happen on theatre stages increasingly from about this point. But that's something for a future time. So just with all of that in place, thoughts? How clear was it to people? Were people following it? I drifted off occasionally, but then I knew the game it was playing, so I wasn't that worried about whether I followed it exactly. But were people horribly bamboozled, or were people with it? Alan, then Mark.
Yeah, I mean, it did feel almost like Fletcher was doing an academic exercise in, well, we've got this old war horse of the morality play. How can I re-energize it?
But again, he's not re-energizing it. You know, he's doing what he's following what that is going on in court.
You know, but it was just, it does seem to be a bit disconnected from what we've had in the previous three playlets.
Well, it is in terms of the way it's presenting things, but in a terms thematically, it's bang on. It's doing exactly what the other plays have been doing in terms of it's talking about, you know, how do you live your life going forward, you know, within the framework logic of, you know, a marriage. Again, it's the fact that it's doing the same thematic job, but it's doing it through different genres as it dances from romance, tragi-comedy, tragedy to this is a morality logic. Mark, then I think Kyle, and then Lois.
Yeah, I was not following it as closely, partly because it's just so far, I think, outside of like what we do today, like in terms of our drama and such. It's just like this kind of abstraction, this anthropomorphizing these concepts, just like my brain struggles to care. There was some fun stuff in it, but I had to keep being like, wait, what's happening? But I was totally zoning out. I will say, you know, if this feels if this is out of place for like a theater stage, but would be like at a court mask, does the frame narrative of this being ostensibly like presented to this couple being married, does that help it kind of fit into the world better, would you say?
Yeah, I think the framing device is to allow this kind of stage work to go on. I think, and you know, and potentially it might have been staged within a court setting at some point, but it wouldn't be its primary function, probably. Kyle.
I thought it was kind of neat. I was thinking about it differently than I typically do morality plays, and thinking it kind of felt like behavioral therapy in some ways, or something, like where you imagine the things you want to leave, and then they go exit desire, exit petty delights, or whatever. It's like a capitalist therapy or something. I thought it was pretty neat.
Lois, and then Eric.
Yeah, I mean, you could obviously tie it with the previous plays, especially with the emphasis on desire, and let's get rid of it, and that would certainly get rid of most of the previous drama.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I've read a lot of morality plays in my time, and I was having difficulty with it just because I assumed to begin with that Anthropos was very much like mankind, man, all the humanum genus, all these people that represent humanity, and assuming that everything was for him, and being a sort of spoiled brat, which was fine, except that he suddenly changed into apparently being a sort of penitential figure and being, very moral and sensible, and I couldn't figure out how that happened, because normally in morality plays it happens either because years pass and he's now old, or because some virtue figure appears and tells him to behave better.
Well,
But here,
I suppose poverty does turn up and sort of flaps a cloak. That's about as hand wavy as it gets, really. I agree. It doesn't quite do the job in the same way. But then I suspect it's not trying to. We need to move on and finish this play, so we're going to run the last few scenes together and then find out where we are, because it's not a death. The advantage with this episode, it's not very long. So, Act 5, Scene 2, Jupiter and Mercury, having been calling on the gods earlier, descend severally. Trumpets small above.
Ho, Mercury, my winged son.
Your servant.
Whose powerful prayers were those that reached our ears, armed in such spells of pity now?
The sad petitions of the scorned son of earth, the godlike Anthropos, he that has swelled your sacred fires with incense and piled upon your altars 1,000 heifers, and he that beguiles by vanity and pleasure, desire, craft, flattery, and smooth hypocrisy, stands now despised and ruined, left to poverty.
It must not be. He was not raised for ruin, nor shall those hands heaved at mine altars perish. He is our noblest creature. Flee to time, and charge him presently, release the bands of poverty and want this suitor sinks in. Tell him, among the sunburnt Indians that know no other wealth but peace and pleasure, she shall find golden Plutus, god of riches, who idly is adored, the innocent people not knowing yet what power and weight he carries. Bid him compel him to his right use, honor, and presently to live with Anthropos. It is our will. Away.
I do obey it.
Jupiter and Mercury with a slightly problematic suggestion. Ascend again. Act 5, Scene 3. Music. Enter Plutus with a troupe of Indians singing and dancing wildly about him and bowing to him, which ended enter time.
Rise and away. 'Tis Jove's command.
I will not. You have some fool to furnish now, some Midas that to no purpose I must choke with riches. Who must I go to?
The son of earth. He wants the god of wealth.
Let him want still. I was too lately with him, almost torn into 10,000 pieces by his followers. I could not sleep, but craft or vanity were filing off my fingers. Not eat, for fear pleasure would cast herself into my belly, and there surprise my heart.
These have forsaken him. Make haste then. Thou must with me. Be not angry, for fear a greater anger light upon thee.
I do obey then, but change my figure. For when I willingly befriend a creature, goodly and full of glory, I show to him. But when I am compelled, old and decrepit, I halt and hang upon my staff. Farewell, friends, I will not be long from you. All my servants I leave among you still, and my chief riches.
Exeunt. Indians with a dance.
Time, what innocence dwells there, what goodness. They know me not, nor hurt me not, yet hug me. Away, I'll follow thee, but not too fast, Time.
Exeunt Plutus and Time, presumably in a very sensible time signature. Act 5, Scene 4. Enter Anthropos, honesty, simplicity, humility, and poverty.
And be not sad, nor let this divorce from Mundus and his many ways of pleasure afflict thy spirits, which considered rightly with inward eyes makes thee arrive at happy.
For now what danger or deceit can reach thee? What matter left for craft or covetise to plot against thee? What desire to burn thee?
O son of earth, let honesty possess thee. Be that as thou wast intended, like thy maker. See through those gaudy shadows that like dreams have dwelt upon thee long. Call up thy goodness, thy mind and man within thee, that lie shipwrecked, and then how thin and vain these fond affections. How lame this worldly love, how lump-like raw and ill-digested all these vanities will show, let reason tell thee.
Crown thy mind with that above the world's wealth, joyful suffering, and truly be the master of thyself, which is the noblest empire, and there stands the thing thou wert ordained and set to govern.
Come, let us sing the world's shame. Hear us, Anthropos.
Song! Again, we don't know what the song is. And then enter Time and Plutus.
Away, we are betrayed.
Exeunt all except for Poverty.
Get thou too after, thou needy bear companion. Go forever, forever, I conjure thee, make no answer.
Exit Poverty.
What makest thou here, Time, thou that to this minute never stood still by me?
I have brought thee succor, and now catch hold, I am thine. The god of riches, compelled by him that saw thy miseries, the ever just and wakeful Jove, at length, is come unto thee. Use him as thine own, for 'tis the doom of heaven, he must obey thee.
Have I found pity, then?
Thou hast, and justice against those false seducers of thine honor. Come, give him present helps.
Exit Time. Industry and the arts are discovered.
Come, industry, thou friend of life. Next to thee rise labor.
Plutus stamps. Labour rises.
Rise presently, and now to your employments. But first, conduct this mortal to the rock.
They carry Anthropos to a rock, which was presumably used in Act 2, and fall a-digging.
What seest thou now?
Plutus strikes the rock, and flames fly out.
A glorious mine of metal. Oh, Jupiter, my thanks.
To me, a little.
And to the god of wealth, my sacrifice.
Nay, then I am rewarded. Take heed now, son. You are afloat again, lest Mundus catch ye.
Never betray me more.
I must to India, from whence I came, where my main wealth lies buried, and there must with me. Take that book and mattock, and by those know to live again.
Exeunt. Plutus, industry, labour, etc.
I shall do.
Enter fame, we had flames earlier. Enter fame, I want to live forever. Sounding.
Through all the world, the fortune of great Anthropos be known and wondered at, his riches envied, as far as sun or time is, his power feared too.
They exit. Act 5, Scene 5. Music. Enter delight, pleasure, craft, lucre, vanity, etc., dancing, and masked towards the rock, offering service to Anthropos. Mercury from above. Music. We've got the Mercury costume from Act 2. Mercury from above. Music heard. One half of a cloud drawn. Only half. You only get half a cloud. The budget won't run to a whole one. Singers are discovered. Then the other half drawn. Okay, you now get the other half of the cloud. There we are. The two clouds come together. Okay, Jupiter seen in glory.
Take heed, weak man. Those are the sins that sunk thee. Trust him no more. Kneel and give thanks to Jupiter.
Oh, mighty power.
Unmask, ye gilded poisons. Now look upon them, son of earth, and shame them. See how the faces of thy evil angels lead them to time, and let them fill his triumph. Their memories be here forgot forever.
Oh, just great God, how many lives of service, what ages only given to thine honor, what infinities of vows and holy prayers can pay my thanks.
Rise up, and to assume thee that never more thou shalt feel want, strike, Mercury, strike him, and by that stroke he shall forever live in that rock of gold, and still enjoy it. Be it done, I say. Now sing in honor of him.
Song. Again, we don't have the song. Enter the triumph. And for the triumph of time, we have first the musicians, then vain delight, pleasure, craft, lucre, vanity, and all the other of the vices. Then in a chariot with the person of time sitting in it, drawn by 4 persons, representing hours singing. They exit, and we return for Act 5, Scene 6 to the court. There is a flourish, and Emanuel speaks.
By this we note, sweetheart, in kings and princes a weakness, even in spite of all their wisdoms, and often to be mastered by abuses. Our natures here described too, and what humors prevail above our reasons to undo us. But this the last and best, when no friend stands, the gods are merciful and lend their hands.
Flourish for applause and an epilogue.
Now, as the husbandman, whose costs and pain, whose hopes and helps lie buried in his grain, waiting a happy spring to ripen full his longed-for harvest, to the reaper's pull, stand we expecting, having our own ground with so much charge, the fruitlessness not found, the harvest of our labors. For we know you are our spring, and when you smile, we grow. Nor charge nor pain shall bind us from your pleasures. So but lend your hands to fill our measures.
And it ends. Okay, I've got quite a thing flowing here. It's leaning even more into the masque than into the morality play. I mean, with all the singing and all the dancing and all the spectacle, it really is. It's presenting a court masque in this final act, complete with quite excessive casual racism. But weirdly, I kind of think in some strange circular logic that actually this one works because you can do something with this. Because what is the story that they're telling here? You have spent too much of your time in this world. You go off to an unspoilt land where you can live in a Sylvian paradise in this other place far away. And what is the moral of this story? Well, if you wait long enough, you can dig out all their natural resources and displace the people there. It's like it's saying, "Hi, welcome. This is colonialism," and it's just like. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like they don't even quite realize. It's like they don't know that this is what they're saying. And it's like, this is, you could really turn that into a thing that works absolutely as this is not the moral that they think they're heading for. Because they're not criticizing it at all. But you want a demonstration about the colonial project as it is evolving at this point in history. This play is it.
There you go.
It's fascinating. It's absolutely, initially when it's like, oh, dancing Indians, oh God. But then when we get to, strike, they find mineral wealth. And it's the gold rush and all the various gold rushes are across different places. I'll go to Kyle. It just absolutely floored me of going, actually, this is a play where it's awful, but we can use it because actually there's something really interesting there. Sorry, Carl.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like all this mask of we don't care about wealth, or let's get rid of all of our obsession with desires and wealth and everything. What we're really doing is working. Also works to, right? I mean, that whole that narrative is so there and could be exposed so easily in this lunacy.
Yeah, and this is where we can also circle back to the framing story, because I've been asking all the way through this process, what is the point of the framing story? Why is it a specific wedding in 1497? And we're thinking back, what's going on around that time? Who are the people who are expanding and going out and stumbling across a massive landmass full of people at that particular point in history? Again, I don't know if the play is intending to do that, but it is something we could absolutely do with it, in the sense that this is actually circling back to the beginning of this colonial enterprise. And that gives us such a claw for this text now. of going, there's something we can do with that without changing very much at all. So I don't know how much of that is deliberate. I don't know how much of that, but I don't care because we could use that. Absolutely. You could almost have at the end of it, Columbus or various people are literally getting on their ship and heading out, and make it a circular thing. I think I saw Alexandra. I see Lois. I'll go to Alexandra first if you have thoughts.
I was just going to point out, yes, that this now I understand why this wedding is this wedding, because it is a wedding between Spain, between the new, I think it's the new King of Portugal and the heiress to all of Spain at that point. So it's those two massive powers, and now that we're talking about colonialism and the gold rush and all of this, that's why it's to them. And also 1497 fits very beautifully between 92 and 98, right? Columbus and Vasco da Gama. So yeah, it's delightful, and I agree with you. It doesn't matter what the play wanted, what the original intention was. What matters is what you can do with it today, and you can do so much with it today. And the only other thing that I wanted to sort of bring back to the rest of the play is I'm quite enjoying. I know you were saying sort of jokingly, oh yes, Mercury, because we've got him from Act 2, and then this thing because we've got it from. I actually really liked that, because we've got two authors who, one wrote most of the sort of first 2/3, and then another one wrote the latter half or latter third, and yet within and in between those pieces we get things that, ideas that recur, themes that recur, but also things like props and bits of set and so on, which you would do if you'd written a contiguous play, but because it's all bits and pieces and they're not set anywhere near the same time and circumstance, I really like that they made the effort to have those connections.
Yeah, whereas last time the rocks, were just there and they then went away. This time the rocks spout flame. It's like, okay, we're reusing the plot, the same prop, but we're going to do something a bit different with it. And just to pull myself back a bit, the enthusiasm and excitement that I'm having is for the potential of displaying awfulness. It is not actually, I'm not saying, hey, isn't it great colonialism? I'm not doing that. Just to be clear. Lois.
Yeah, I mean, I think this play is clearly written for the sake of the spectacle. Some of the writing is quite beautiful. I mean, when it's not all about violence. I mean, Fletcher can write quite beautiful lines that have a very nice sort of melody to them, which is quite distinctive. But yeah, it does all sort of fall into place. But I think it may well have been written for a wedding. I mean, I'm now beginning to think it might have been for Frederick and Elizabeth's wedding in early 1613, because so much of it is spectacle. And even, that play we just read, The Triumph of Death, it's mostly, A stabs B, who stabs C, or, it's all action and violence, and as if it was written for an audience, some of whom didn't know English, but who were going to enjoy just watching the thing. But yeah, the other point, which people have been making in the chat, is that, of course, this whole thing of all the problems of Spain have been solved by colonialism and all this gold they've got, and wouldn't we like to have some? And there is, after all, the Virginia Company and the East India Company just getting going, and this would obviously be a sort of propaganda for them.
Other thoughts in the room? Eric?
I just want to throw out like a shout out to the prologue for this last section, basically for this last act, where you got mention of like the flies that latch on like false friends and then fall off and so on, that metaphor, because there was a part of me that went, oh, it's the spider and the fly, which this room has not read, but it's delightful because it's basically about property and property rights, which I guess you could sort of segue into if you really, really wanted, because people who don't have property are the people who sort of are poor and go off to colonialize other places mostly, or at least are workers on ships that go on and so on and so forth. So it depends how you do it. I mean, if you really, really want to.
Yeah, but also we could draw, especially with the modern production, those parallels. There are different kinds of violence that this play is projecting. Each one contains different levels of control, questions about class and status. I think a very carefully thought out production of this could actually draw a modern parallel that draws all these forces together into something that actually makes sense for us today, even with a text that is quite weird. I mean, it is a weird play. I mean, let's not pretend it's not. And we've also got bits that can be detachable and used elsewhere. I think the Triumph of Death, I think, probably works quite well on its own. I'm quite fond of the Triumph of Love. I think there was there was something fun to be done with that. And even the Triumph of Honor, which I found a little harder to sort of nail down what it was doing. I don't think you could do the Triumph of Time necessarily outside of the context of the rest of the play. I think it would be a bit too weird, but maybe you could construct something. It's where it's all about the spectacle and about demonstrating colonial themes, and you could do something with that. But then talking on the visual sense, I almost feel that you need to then turn half of it into a ballet, or and make it more visual. And that there's a starting point there, and then maybe bouncing off some of the plays we've done recently, which are doing similar work as this, in a much more untidily problematic ways. Where you could use that as a linking device, and then you actually dance into some of the things that the early modern period is setting up for later. So this is very much a thing of, there's individual stuff we could do. We could do many of these individual plays separately, but I'd actually think the play itself, because of that final act, now has legs in a way I didn't think yesterday. I was thinking this play is too weird and too odd. But now we've got linking themes that we can attach a modern resonance to, and with not much distortion of the text as well, per se. So yeah. Final thoughts from the room. We don't have a lot of time, so I'll go for invited final thoughts rather than necessarily go around everyone. I've found a route through, so I'm happy. But yeah, any other questions or thoughts? I had hoped earlier, because we mentioned the last session, that I'm waiting for someone to wave, so I'll just keep going. Mark, thank you.
The thing that's speaking most to me within this is using some of these kind of individually. If there's some like collection of one acts or something, if there's multiple kind of theater troupes together putting on a production where they're each doing, short plays or something, then someone who wants to do something early modern could easily do like Triumph of Death. I feel like it's an interesting play. It's a little, like most of the things in here, a little morally didactic for my tastes in general, but I feel like it kind of works in that one more than I feel like it worked in Triumph of Honor. I don't know. The guy was just so clearly terrible and sleazy that it's like, yes, I welcome the moral didacticism of this guy's terrible. Let's have let's make sure that everybody knows that. I think that would be a good one to lift and use in some sort of production where you need a short play.
Yeah, and actually, okay, this is inviting a wider question, which is other plays that we think are too long and are only really one-act plays. If we think of this as actually longer plays that have been cut down and then repurposed, maybe two of these plays were actually plays separately that have been restructured and then rethought, and most of the rest of the material has been created for this compilation. Could we create other 4 plays in one? I mean, for example, we have got some short plays already, or 2 plays in one, or these bills did exist, it's like a play like Yorkshire Tragedy, which seems like highly probably that was part of a wider selection of plays. Can we cut down all the other true crime plays and turn them into one? The two lamentable tragedies.
40-minute Arden Faversham. Right?
Two lamentable tragedies is also effectively 2 plays potentially smooshed together. I'm not sure that it is, but because the 2 plot lines are run simultaneously. They're not separated into two separate plays. But Life and Death of Jack Straw is weirdly short. Is that because it was part of a compilation show like this? Would that explain why that play is so short, or is it because of other reasons? So nominations in the last couple of minutes for any plays you'd like. You think we were talking before about plays where the A plot's fine and the B plot's terrible, or vice versa. Of going, well, we can't do this whole play because this bit's just so appalling and we can't do it. Maybe this is a legitimate outlet, and a legitimate early modern outlet. Not that we're mucking around with plays for the sake of mucking around with them, but because that's what they did then, so we can do it now. Any final thoughts, Eric?
There's a part of me going, this is the title lies because it's 4 plays in 1, but it's actually 5 acts. So like maybe yeah, I don't know, because okay, the first one is just like the framing device, but still. Yeah, it lies. That's still 4 plays, 5 plays in a way.
Yeah, okay, that I can buy that. It's like 100 Merry Tales almost never had 100 Merry Tales in it whenever it was published. 99 Tales initially, and then it sort of crept up above. It was always wrong. Anything else? Just generally, we found our level, have we? Okay, well, that's it for 4 plays in 1. I think we can unpack this in different interesting ways in the future. We shall see whether that comes to pass. Of course, you could always, if you want to see that come to pass, you can always join our Patreon and vote for us to do this play. We have we're infinitely bribable, and that's at the point of our Patreon feed is that you can come on and vote for us to do the most awkward and annoying plays possible that we wouldn't, in our right minds, decide to do normally. But if you have money and you want to bribe us, we'll do anything you like within reason. So also you can join us on these online sessions anytime you like. There is a sign up form on our website beyondshakespeare.org. Go to our Get Involved page and you can get involved. We have a sign up for several sessions every week, and I just assign the parts fairly randomly and then we read the play. So if you want to join us, you can join us. All that remains at this point is to thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. Oh, devil lust.